Good evening. I'm going to be talking about some of the self-assessments that we have taken in Resident Leader and some of the takeaways I got from doing them. The first self-assessment I'd like to talk about is my noble purpose. That was a really rewarding activity for me. Something I've struggled with since the beginning of this program is the fact that never once have I stopped to think about why I want to do the things I want to do. I've always been very driven career-wise and in school, but I never kind of sought out my why. Why is it that I want to achieve so much and be so much? And it was really nice to kind of stop and realize that I'm really doing this because I want to give back to others. The kind of person that I am, I seek to help others live the best, most productive lives as possible. I try to help them find what makes them happy and find solutions. So it was nice to know that there has been kind of this underlying driving purpose this whole time that I carry with me in my relationships with my students and friends that I have and colleagues. So that was kind of my takeaway. My strength is just being able to help other people, I would say. The second assessment that I looked at is my life in the year 2026. This was kind of an interesting takeaway for me personally, but it was sitting down to do the activity. When I envisioned my life in 10 years, I envisioned it with children. And that's actually a breakthrough for me. Being that I'm so career driven, when I've thought about my future, I always think about career wise, where do I want to be? And so it's kind of always been hard for me to picture how do kids fit into that picture. And my husband has always wanted children, and I'm always like, I don't know, it's never been in my plan. But when I really sat down and thought about my life and put career to the side for a second, and the questions and the activity forced me to do that, I do envision my life with kids, and I think it'll be a more fulfilling life for me. So that's definitely my big takeaway is that aside from career goals, I do have personal goals that I shouldn't forget when I'm getting all of this work done. My next assessment that I'm going to talk about is my fantasy job. This one was fun too. I think a strength is that I pulled from this activity is that I know what I want. When I could pick any jobs in the world, one of them was to be a superintendent, like out of anything in the world. I also chose singer, doctor, and superintendent. But yeah, superintendent is actually a long-term career goal of mine. So it's good to know that I know what I want, and that is one of my goals no matter what. If I had to choose from anything in the world, like this is my goal and I'm going to make it happen. The next assessment is my values. This was hard for me. A lot of those values I felt that I possessed, and I found myself overthinking it. And that's kind of a need, something I need to work on, is to not overthink these things and just kind of go with my gut. So when I did kind of narrow it down to those 10 values, I really had to look at myself as a person. And again, I'm struggling lately with this. Okay, what is the career side of me? What is the personal side of me? How do those things interact? And all of these activities have been forcing me to do that. And so I really had to look at myself as a person. And I think one of my highest strengths from the activity is my ambition. That's something that I value, and it's gotten me far in life. And finally, the self-assessment, the dispositions assessment we had to do. This one was really hard for me as well. I identified a need that's kind of embarrassing for me to talk about, my need for professional demeanor and responsibility. No one, I think, likes to admit that they would struggle with those things, but when reflecting, I realize I'm not always prepared for work. My life is busy and I have so much going on, and I feel like I'm running through life, and I don't give my job the dedication that it needs. When I was reading the description, I'm like, yeah, a lot of that is me. I'm not always as professional looking as I could be because I'm tired and overworked and stressed, and I'm not always as prepared for my lessons. Sometimes I get to work and my copies aren't made and things like that, and it's really bad. But I think it's good in a way that I've acknowledged this. I think it's something I've kind of known about myself for a while and something I've wanted to work on. So by saying it out loud, I think that I know that I need to work on it, and I will start to work on it and be better. Because if I'm going to have the career goals that I do, if I'm going to achieve them, I need to make sure definitely that when people see me, they see me as professional and responsible in my job.